everyone. My name's Emily Parker. I'm 17 years old. On the night of March 28th, something unexpected happened to me while I was out during my spring break.
I died, bleeding out on the cracked asphalt of a forgotten diner parking lot in New Mexico. I was a high school senior, living in a small town just outside Dallas, Texas. Life seemed ordinary. I worried about SAT scores. I argued with my mom about curfew. My biggest dream was getting into Texas A&M to study veterinary science. I had everything planned: a steady job, a cozy home, a yard full of rescued dogs, a life that felt simple and happy. For months, my best friend Maya and I had been organizing a road trip. We saved every penny from our part-time jobs at the local grocery store. Our plan was to drive to Santa Fe to visit her cousin for a few days. It was our first real adventure, without parents, and the freedom was electrifying. We sang at the top of our lungs, scarfed down too much candy, laughed until our throats hurt. By the second day, we had been driving almost 10 hours straight. Exhaustion weighed on us, and outside the car, the desert stretched endlessly dark, silent, and empty. Around 10 p.m., a faint glow appeared in the distance. An old, greasy spoon, called the Cactus Grill. It looked like it belonged to another era, but we were starving. The food was terrible, but we didn't care. Just being out of the car, laughing, and planning the next day felt incredible. I remember sitting in that small booth, thinking about how much I loved my life, how lucky I was. I even sent a quick text to my dad. Almost there. Love you. I never imagined it would be the last thing I'd ever write to him. We paid the bill and stepped outside. The night air was sharp, the parking lot mostly empty, lit by a single buzzing fluorescent light that cast long, eerie shadows. And then we saw him. He emerged from behind a large pickup truck, thin, wiry, with frantic, wild eyes. He muttered something incoherent, words about voices and messages. Maya grabbed my arm, and an icy fear ran through me, like nothing I had ever felt. It wasn't cinematic. It wasn't noisy. It was a deep, paralyzing cold that seeped into my bones. "Just give him your purse," Maya whispered. But he didn't want money. He lunged at us. 1 second he was 10 feet away. The next he was on top of me. I felt a sharp, burning pain in my side. At first, I didn't even realize I had been stabbed. It felt like being hit with unbelievable force. Then I looked down and saw the blood. Maya's scream echoed across the empty desert. A car screeched into the lot. "Police!" An officer jumped out, shouting. The man turned toward the cop, holding a gun. Bang! Bang! Then he collapsed. I tried to move, but my legs refused. I fell onto the asphalt. Maya knelt beside me, sobbing, hands drenched in my blood. "Stay with me, Emily. Please stay with me." And then everything stopped. The screaming froze. The flashing lights of police and ambulance hung in the air. Maya's face, twisted in horror, became like a still photograph. Time itself seemed to pause. I felt myself lift, rising gently, weightless, above my own body, above Maya, above the frozen scene, the diner, the half-eaten burgers inside. The star-filled sky above it all became distant. Then a gentle pull lifted me further, the world shrinking into a pinpoint of light. I moved through a tunnel, but it was not dark or frightening. It was soft, swirling light, warm and peaceful, like the inside of a pearl. A stray thought flitted through my mind. I forgot to call Dad back. And then, the tunnel opened. I was in a place with no walls, no floor, no ceiling, just pure, radiant, living light. It didn't hurt my eyes. It felt more like breathing than seeing. And then I saw him. I knew instantly it was Jesus. But he did not look like any picture I had ever seen. No flowing white robe, no perfect hair. His form was something beyond description. It was like staring at a sun, made entirely of love. The light around him shimmered and pulsed, not with heat, but with a deep vibration. A low, melodic hum that resonated straight through my chest, easing every fear I'd ever carried. It wasn't a sound you could hear with ears, it was a feeling, a thought, an understanding that blossomed directly in my soul. His presence felt like a memory I had long forgotten, the truest thing I had ever known. When he looked at me, there was no judgment for my mistakes, no anger for my doubts. I just felt seen, completely and utterly known, and enveloped in a love so immense. It seemed to hold every atom of my being together. Tears slid down my cheeks, not from sadness, but from relief. The weight of being human, the secret insecurities, petty jealousies, and needless pride all melted away. For the first time, I was truly myself. Then, the scene shifted. Jesus didn't speak. He just revealed. We were back in the parking lot, but this time the focus wasn't on me, it was on my attacker. I didn't see a monster, but a boy. His life unfolded before me in rapid flashes, like a movie reel spinning out of control. I saw him as a child, hiding under his bed while his parents shouted. I felt his loneliness. I watched him in middle school, being bullied, the seeds of bitterness quietly rooting in his heart. I saw the choices he made as a teen, small at first. A lie here, a petty theft there. Each one nurtured that dark seed, its roots twisting deeper into his soul. I saw the shadows that clung to him, whispering lies. Nobody loves you. You're worthless. The world owes you punishment. And he listened. He fed them. Over time, they grew stronger, while the real him grew faint, almost invisible. My heart ached for him. I felt a strange mix of sorrow and pity. Then Jesus showed me something else. The light. Every chance he was given to turn toward goodness flashed before me. A kind teacher telling him he was smart. A pastor in a soup kitchen offering words of love. His mother praying tirelessly, her golden threads of hope stretching across the country, trying to reach him. And each time, he rejected it, snapping the threads of mercy with his own choices. Weeks before my death, I saw him alone in his apartment, flipping channels. A preacher spoke about mercy. The spark of hope reached his heart for a moment, but then he changed the channel. Countless opportunities, countless moments to choose a better path, and he refused them all. Tears ran down my face as I understood. God's hand had always reached out. It was he who refused to grasp it. Finally, Jesus revealed the last moment. Judgment. The boy's spirit stood in the same radiant space I was in, confused and furious. Darkness inside him could not endure the purity of the light. He flinched, shielding his eyes, screaming in torment not because the light hurt, but because it revealed the truth of his soul. Jesus did not condemn him. He didn't need to. The life he had lived, the choices he had made, were his own sentence. The dark entities he had listened to his entire life were there with him, but they were no longer whispering companions. They had become his wardens. I watched in horror as they closed in, binding him tightly. He wasn't thrown into a lake of fire. He was seized by the very darkness he had welcomed into his heart. He didn't fall into hell. He fled from heaven. As he was pulled into absolute, final emptiness, a sound reached me, one I will never forget. Jesus wept. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was the quiet grief of immeasurable loss. The sorrow of a king who had created a beloved child, who had offered mercy again and again, only to witness that child choose separation forever. Then Jesus turned his attention back to me. The sadness remained in his gaze, as his voice formed directly inside my soul. Evil does not begin with the action, he said. It begins in the heart, when mercy is refused. A single root of bitterness, left to grow, can corrupt an entire soul. Then another vision unfolded. I saw America. I saw people sitting in their homes, staring into glowing screens, filled with rage. They weren't shouting with their mouths, but with their hearts. The air itself felt heavy, saturated with hostility, hatred toward politicians, hatred toward neighbors who thought differently, hatred toward strangers they had never even met. Those same shadowy whispers were there, feeding the flames. You're right. They're the enemy. Destroy them. And I watched as people chose to listen. I saw them deny mercy to others, just as my attacker had denied mercy to himself. They are drinking the same poison, Jesus said, his voice heavy with sorrow. They believe their anger is righteous, but it is a chain, and it is pulling them toward the same darkness. Then he looked directly at me. His eyes were filled with purpose. You must return, little one. The word struck me like a blow. Go back to pain, back to fear, back to a broken world, overflowing with division. I didn't want to leave. This place was home. This was peace. This was real. No, I begged. Please, let me stay. I can't go back. Your story is not finished, he replied, his love washing over me like warmth. This message is not for you alone. It is for them. Go. Tell them to guard their hearts. Tell them to choose forgiveness before it is too late. Teach them to love. His presence wrapped around me in the most comforting embrace I had ever known. Leaving felt unbearable, but I understood. It was not a punishment, it was a mission, given in perfect love. And then I was falling. The light vanished. Peace was torn away. Cold rushed in. Weight. Pain. I gasped violently. A blinding light burned my eyes. A tube filled my throat, and I choked, panic surging. Machines beeped wildly around me. My side felt like it was on fire. A nurse hovered above me, her face frozen in shock. She shouted for a doctor. "She's breathing," she yelled. "She's breathing on her own." I tried to speak, but only choking sounds came out. Tears poured down my face, hot, real, human tears. I had just left heaven, and now I was back. Later, I learned I had been clinically dead for 11 minutes. Doctors were preparing to declare the time of death when my heart suddenly began beating again. The surgeon told my parents there was no medical explanation. My injuries should have killed me, and even if I had survived, I should have suffered severe brain damage. But I didn't. I was perfectly fine. I'm sharing this for one reason, only the message Jesus gave me for you. He didn't tell me to instruct you who to vote for. He didn't tell me to tell you where to worship. He told me to ask you this. Look inside your heart. Is there bitterness there? Is there unforgiveness you refuse to release? Is there a person or a group you secretly hate? That feeling, that self-righteous anger that feels justified, that is the poison. That is the whisper. It is the same seed of darkness that grew in the heart of the man who tried to kill me. I know it's hard. I truly do. But every single day, you are given a choice. A choice to release anger. A choice to show mercy. A chance to pray for someone you disagree with. A chance to forgive someone who wounded you. A chance to turn off the noise and love the person right in front of you. Please don't reject those moments. Please don't keep cutting the golden threads of grace. Because what I was shown is terrifyingly real. Heaven is real. Hell is real. And every day, the choice is ours.